Welcome to the Holy Mischief Podcast. Here we shine a light on the hidden gems of Cartersville and Bartow County. Helpers, creators, and everyday heroes spreading love and kindness in extraordinary ways. Think of us as Mr. Rogers for adults, sharing stories that spark hope, joy, and a little bit of holy mischief along the way. Pull up a seat, neighbor. It's time to meet the incredible people making a difference in your backyard. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Holy Mischief Podcast. Holy Mischief is that moment where some kindness or compassion is interrupted into someone's life and they know that they are not alone and that they matter. And I have with me today Greg. Say hi to everyone, Greg.
Hey.
Greg is typically behind the cameras doing all of the technical video work that we do here at the podcast that we record at Georgia Highlands. And every so often we'll turn everything off. And then Greg and I have these conversations, and I think we need to be recording this. And one time, I think it was when we had the mayor here, we started talking about movies, dumb, silly movies that we love to hate and hate to love. And the mayor said, well, he needs to be on the podcast. I don't know why talking about silly movies is why he thought we needed to be on the Holy Mischief podcast together.
I know.
But I'm here for it.
I'm also here for it.
Okay, so there's a lot of things I think we want to cover today. We want to talk about acts of kindness, and specifically, you hinted at how you have woven that into your creative process as well as like a business model for you.
Yes.
I want to talk about Culture Guys, which you are representing with your shirt.
I am wearing the Culture Guys gear today.
When I first met you, I saw it in your background when I did some internet stalking and was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but it looks really interesting. And I thought, you know, scary movies aren't for me, but it's not really a scary movie. It's a thriller movie with so many different aspects that my brain loves. So we have to get to that, and then just random fun stuff that we want to talk about.
Of course.
So I think we should start with a Holy Mischief story. Where have you seen it? How do you use it?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I never even really thought of what I did as Holy Mischief until I met you, and then I realized there's a word for what I do.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just always been a part of my character, you know, because I've always been anti-establishment across the board.
Which I find fascinating because not only are you a PK, but you're also a veteran.
Yeah.
So dig into that a little deeper if you can.
Okay. Sure. You know, I grew up in a military family, and I just, you know, when I decided that I wanted to join the military, I just wanted to make my father proud. And I did it, and then I didn't do it, and then I didn't want to do it again.
Okay.
I wanted to do something else. And I knew that I was too creative to just be in such a structured environment. And so I can say that I've done that. I could also say that I've been a car salesman, and that I've been a hairstylist, and that I've been...
Okay, hold on a second. It seems like in the past week, every time you open your mouth, I find out something new about you. We'll get to that
There's
in a
just
second.
a lot of things.
But okay, so you've been a hairstylist and a car salesman?
Car salesman. I have been in... Oh, I was a personal trainer. I was in the fitness industry for many years.
Yeah, okay.
I've pretty much just done... You know, it's funny because my dad's the same way, so it just makes sense.
Okay.
My dad has done so many things. You know, he was in the military. He was an Anglican priest. He was an actor. He was in a motorcycle gang.
Oh my. Okay.
While he was a priest, and then he would have his services like his, you know, how you have like the family, you know, luncheons in the family center. He would go to the bar. And he would have like these after services in the bar with a bunch of bikers. So you know, me and my dad both are just very unique individuals, I guess, to put it lightly. We're very multifaceted people. So anyway, circling back to Holy Mischief, the reason for everything I do, which with the context of everything I've done and all the craziness I've gotten into when I was younger, it makes sense because I've had a lot of life experience in the short time I've had on this planet so far. Being such an anti-establishment person, I also have a problem with the film industry. I have a problem with how it has become so formulaic.
Yeah.
It goes back to art history, where for the longest time art was by the Academy, and you weren't able to create art for self-expression. It wasn't allowed. Only a certain amount of people could create art.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's happening now because the film industry has become so elitist.
Right.
And so that's why so many actors who are struggling don't even want to get paid. They just want experience. They just want to put their name on a credit somewhere.
Yeah.
And so when I got, heavily into film, I've always been into film. My first film was a feature-length thing that I made in high school. Don't watch it. It's on my YouTube channel, but don't.
But don't watch it.
Just watch it. It's terrible, but it's funny. Once I got into film as an adult and I was realizing all of the need that there was just for actors to get their name out there, like, I knew that was my target. Like, that's where I wanted to reach, because and talking to these actors that I would work with on various projects, especially in Culturegeist, it was very interesting to hear that half the projects that they'd be involved with never even saw the light of day.
Yeah.
They would go there, film to do a job and leave, never building networks, not building relationships with a filmmaker. My Holy Mischief was incorporating my passion for people and kindness and loving energy to be able to cultivate an environment where, whether it's on set or not, like, you're my friend. I'm going to Snapchat you. We're going to hang out. We're going to have parties. Come to my birthday party. Yeah. We're going to get to know each other. So that way, you can trust me with your art. And that's what we do.
Yeah. So you're letting people know they matter and showing them love with all you do.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So you told me you have to watch Culturegeist before we meet for this recording. And I'm like, yeah, it's on my list. And so Sunday, I sit down and make my popcorn. I turn it on, and you have to keep your eyes on it at the beginning, just because there's a lot of visual cues that happen, and then you hear some voices before you see the actors.
Right.
So you have to kind of keep that straight, and then there's just a lot of mystery that happens.
Yes.
And what I loved is that it blended technology and a little history of technology, just a little, along with some quantum physics and with some mystery and some science and conspiracy theories, which I loved all of that. I was watching this and I'm like, this is why Greg and I get along. Like, this is my brain in a movie.
Right. Yeah. And I figured you would, because, as I've gotten to know you over the past few months since I've been working for you, I'm like, oh my gosh, you would love it. And then when I found out that you were originally in tech during that time period, I was like, oh, she has to watch this thing.
Yeah. At the very beginning of the movie, they make a little jab about Bill Gates. And I was like, we used to say that all the time when I worked at IBM, all the time. It was fascinating. And then at one point in the middle of the movie, I think, only a tiny handful of people know what OS2 is.
Yeah.
And when that popped up on screen, I was like, I used to support that. I used to be telephone support.
It was the time period. And for context, too, for those who are watching this and have no idea what this is, the movie is fully on computer screens. So that, when you're talking about, IBM, OS2 popping up, it's all of the entire movie takes place on computer screens throughout history. So you're going to have, if it's set in 1995, you're going to see Windows 95 as the setting, or Windows XP, or IBM, or Windows 3.1. It just depends on the year, because this mystery takes place over multiple time periods.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your process like? How did that all come together for you?
So I came up with a name first because I just thought it was clever.
Okay, yeah.
I just remember loving the name Culturegeist. I was like, I want to make a movie with that name. That was the first step. Eventually, I was like, I want there to be some kind of... The very first idea that I had was this idea where someone in the past gets video footage of the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah.
And then that was it. That's all I had in my mind.
Yeah.
So I was like, that would be cool. So let's just put that into Culturegeist. And then I started coming up with characters, and then I just started writing. And then eventually I was like, what if this was all set on computer screens? Because I have all of these operating systems because my dad was in tech, and they've been passed on to me, and then I virtualized them. And I usually just sandbox them and play around with them. What if I made a movie out of them, screen record them?
Yeah.
Film things, make them people look like they're on webcams. And then I just started writing. About halfway through the script, I was like, I have a great twist. So then I went back to the beginning and I added in Easter eggs to make the twist come to. So I do everything very modularly. I don't really it's not linear. I don't think from beginning, middle, end. I think of a bunch of different ideas. I throw some out, put the ones I like in until it becomes a full cohesive project. It's just as chaotic as my mind.
Okay. Okay. Talk to me a little bit about your experience of church and of God, because you hadn't been in the church for a while when you interviewed, and you were a little hesitant, but also curious. I think part of you had either neglected or you just talk to me more about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on the money. I'm like, how much time do we have? I grew up, with a family that was very into it. And then as I got older, I started to kind of question some of my beliefs. And as I continued to get older and then realized that, when I made the decision that I was going to come out as a gay man, I had to start thinking to myself, how is that going to affect where I fit religiously?
Right.
My dad was an Anglican priest at the time. And I remember being at his church, I was out to them, but not everywhere at this point. Me and my ex-wife were still going through our divorce at this point secretly, trying to just keep it in the family.
Right.
Because of my dad's image as a priest, and we're just trying to kind of, and I remember it was the week that marriage equality was passed in 2015. My dad told me a couple days beforehand that this is an Anglican church and they're not Episcopal. So it's like, they have their stances. And as an Anglican priest, I have to make a statement, upholding that marriage is between a man and a woman. And I just wanted to let you know, I don't agree, but I have to say it. And I was like, Dad, that's fine. I know where you stand. Say what you need to say. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
So he said what he had to say. So what did hurt, though, is that the entire church stood up and applauded at that statement. And I knew, I don't belong here. Yeah. It was just a collective of things and a collective of the behaviors that were coming out of Christians that I had seen that was making me more and more desensitized to the experience of religion as a whole. And I remember just thinking to myself, and it became my mantra, that there is no hate quite like Christian love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah.
And unfortunately, so many people feel that way.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. And so it became very easy for me to generalize, because I would go from church to church trying to find something. And then the only ones that accepted me weren't really Christian. It was more New Thought movement or Unitarian Universalist, unity, that kind of stuff, which was great. But it was also like I always felt that I needed something more Christ-centered. And, but I just kind of gave up, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with my Celtic roots and just become a big old pagan. And I felt a lot of love and warmth from that, and really kind of went headfirst into that territory for many, many years. But I always felt like something was missing, and it was a big, big, big thing. Yeah. And that was my upbringing, the Judeo-Christian God that I always knew, that I always felt for myself was very real, but I was ignoring. And it came to a point where I was kind of like flirting with the idea of trying to find a way to meld all my various ways of thinking into a more Christ-centered way. But I just didn't really know how to do that. And then I just randomly got a text from you about coming in to be interviewed. Yep. I was interviewed, and, I was like, you know what? I'm not one to talk about my sexual orientation in an interview, but I think this is important too. Yeah. And I did, and I mentioned, and I wanted to just kind of see everyone's reactions and how they thought, what they said. And it felt right. Yeah. Because
I'm a good interviewer, so I stalk people before their interviews. And so I was pretty sure that you were gay and
Yeah.
married to a man, just from looking at some of your photos.
Yeah.
Your son was throwing me, but that was the only thing I was like, okay, this could be from before, it could be adopted, could be like that was the only thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember mentioning it to one of the other people interviewing you, but not the other on purpose because I didn't want them to overthink ahead of time, and I wanted to see a kind of a gut
Who
reaction.
knew?
Joe.
Okay, I figured. Marsha did not.
Marsha did not.
Okay. She was the one that I thought had one of the best answers.
I think so too.
Because I asked
100%.
the question, what does being a welcoming congregation mean to you?
Yeah.
Which I think was I came into the interview knowing I was going to ask that question.
Right.
I wanted to hear everyone's answers. And her answer, when being one of the founding members,
Right.
really resonated with me and felt like if she's a founding member, she represents the congregation. And to hear her words, from her generation being such from a loving space, made me feel good about continuing with the conversations of employment.
Yeah. Yeah. You left the room and they were like, what's taking so long? Go hire him now. And I want to say, just like our conversations, it's kind of sad you have to sit back in the production booth on Sunday because you don't get to interact a little bit. But I'm glad you're there on Wednesdays, and you've stayed for lunch a few times, and I think that's helped.
My best. I try my best to be around, and I walk around and stuff before I have to go up there. Now that I know what I'm doing more, I can kind of step away and eventually. We want to see me kind of around more anyways, and having volunteers run the equipment and all that stuff. And we've had conversations about how to get me more involved and to work in the church, more consistently closer to full time than before at some point.
Yeah, if we can.
Which I would love if that were to, ever come to be. We would find a way, I'm sure, eventually. But I'm not going anywhere in the meantime. So
yeah. So remind me of your phrase again. We hate, we love.
Oh, I said there is no hate quite like Christian love.
There is no hate quite like Christian love. And I feel that, even though I'm part of the church. Like, I do feel that.
Yeah.
My question for you is, do you think it's possible for the church to overcome that?
Yes. But there's a lot of hurdles.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack in that question, because every single faction, denomination, whatever you want to call it, of Christianity all thinks that they're correct.
Right.
And they all, there is only one God, but all the various churches haven't gotten the memo because they all seem to worship a different one. It's not the same God. The same God that I, believe in is not the same God that the Baptists are going to believe in, or that, the Assemblies of God is going to believe in.
Right.
It's vastly different, because I don't believe in a hateful God that hates people for no reason because you don't believe in him, or because you don't do this, or you live your life that way.
Right.
That's not the God that I associate with. In order for the church to work on that problem, we have to evaluate our relationship with not only God, but the word love in general. We have to reevaluate what love means. Love does not mean let me save you from damnation, regardless of, how it's going to make you feel. Which, growing up, that's what I was always taught. That, like, love doesn't mean just accepting people how they are. I've been told that. Love does not mean accepting people and, saying that their life is okay. Love is making sure that they're saved. And sometimes it might resemble hate, but they're going to thank you for it in the afterlife.
Wow.
I have been taught that in my childhood, in my teen years, when when it became very apparent that I was not this straight dude. I had been told that by not my immediate family. They had their beliefs, but they were never that way. And now my parents are both extremely progressive.
Yeah.
Like on the other end of the spectrum from where I grew up, but it was my extended family that was more that way.
Do you think that being told we're made in the image of God causes a Messiah complex to develop within us, because then we're thinking we're the ones that have to save people.
Absolutely, it does.
Because
Yeah.
I never want someone in my congregation to think they have to save someone. Jesus already saved them.
Yeah, thank you.
There's Jesus just wants us to love each other,
Right.
and to love him.
Yeah.
I mourn that people think that the church is just associated with hate, when it should be the most loving place that we experience. And I have experienced it as one of the most loving places, but I've also seen the other side of it too. And with all of my being, I'm trying to change that, to rebrand, so to speak, through Holy Mischief.
Of course.
I think if you're not raised in a Christian home, but you're in a Christian culture, which in the South, it's still very much a Christian-esque type culture. I think it's very confusing. I understand why. I've got friends who, they really don't like organized religion. They really think that it is centered around hate and judgment and ugliness.
Oh, yeah.
And it's my hope that we rewrite that.
Well, there's a huge undertaking. And this is going to sound very bleak. I'm a happy, peppy person, but I've lived, many lives, apparently. This is going to sound very bleak, but love does not win. Because hate is the norm. It's the culture. It is the primary driving force of society. And, in order for love to win, and in order for people to see that love is the true primary driving force of our existence, we need to understand the undertaking that we have behind us. Love, kindness, all of those things is the resistance. We're the rebels in a culture that favors hate because it's easier, it's more convenient, it requires less energy. It's not always easy to love people unconditionally. I have had to train myself over many years to be able to do that. It is not that hard, but you have a lot of unwiring to do. Not just the church, but society as a whole has a lot of unwiring to do because we live in a hate-based culture.
Wow. I think that's the most real thing anyone said to me in a while. And I probably would have pushed back on that because I am very Pollyanna.
Yeah, right.
But I'm a Pollyanna with a dash of realism,
Yeah.
and I've seen the hurt. And if I hadn't read comments on TikTok, which you and I've talked about, like there are people out there that I think you're right. I think that's the norm, and I think so theologically I can make that argument, right? Because of original sin, hate is the default.
Hate is the default.
It's easy.
It is.
It's easy to be hateful.
It is so easy to be hateful. And it's up to the people who have put in the work of unwiring that and rejecting think about it from a Christian perspective. The enemy, Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, has infected our entire species like a virus, and we're born with that virus, and so we have to do the work to unwire and to give ourselves the vaccine to that hate.
Right. We can't give it to somebody else.
We can't give it to someone else. We have to give it to ourselves, so that way we can help others go along that same process. We have to live by example. We can't force people to change. We just have to be the light that we want to see in the world.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do every day. And I do it every day. I don't care. Like, there could be somebody that I just find very, very unfortunate.
What a graceful way to say that. You're very unfortunate.
And it's like, it's okay. And I've also known it to myself too. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel like if somebody is just like, oh no, this is not good for me or my mental health to be around this person. But that's what we're called to do. We're called to do that. It's my life mission to do that. And, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a public figure. I'm not a politician, but I can do that through my art.
Right.
I could do that every day when I walk into a store, it's my energy that's going to set the precedent for how others interact with me. And if somebody pushes back on my energy because it makes them uncomfortable because they are not used to seeing unconditional love, then, I just do it anyways.
Yeah.
You get bad comments on social media, do it anyways.
anyway.
Be loving, even in the face of some of the most horrendous, behavior.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I used the word so many times.
So
You
many.
may have to edit out all of the so's or edit them out and put them all together. So it's just a so party.
This segment's going to be in.
I love it. I use so often. Several years ago, I think was the first time I heard the term systemic racism. Along with that, do you think we have systemic hate in our organizations?
Oh, yeah.
Is that
I think it's the systemic hate that powers the systemic racism and the systemic homophobia, the systemic transphobia, the systemic phobia.
right?
And it's not, and that's an interesting verbiage because it's not phobia, it's just hate. It's all it is. And I think that, again, and it's kind of sound like a broken record here, but it really is the antidote, as the true rebels of society, the ones who are actually trying to pioneer a space of the true God energy. And, I'm one of those people that says, oh, everybody follow your truth. There is no absolute truth. I say that all the time, but I got to admit there really is.
Okay.
There really is only one absolute truth. And that is that no matter what we want to believe or no matter what we want to say, the end goal of not just our lives as human beings, as individuals, but as society as a whole is to create a more loving, utilitarian society. The enemy can be disguised by, it can disguise itself as many things, and it often does it where it hits close to home.
Yeah.
And if there are churches that are teaching that to people, that's where I am very, very surprised that I am even here right now, that I'm even alive. Because the way that I felt growing up, I felt like I shouldn't have been alive. I was taught that I shouldn't be. But I'm here.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have even given a church another chance. But I did.
You did.
Because I believe in love and I believe in energy. And when I feel it and it's there and it's genuine, you know it.
Yeah. But if you were going to challenge people listening to this, what challenge would you give them that's a Holy Mischief challenge?
Oh, wow. I would say that a Holy Mischief challenge that I would give to people would be to reevaluate everything you believe all the time.
Everything you believe
Everything you believe all the time.
Okay.
Think about other experiences.
Okay.
Whether you think you're being hateful or not, everybody has ounces of it in them because we're born that way.
Right.
And so when you reevaluate everything, you're able to pick apart the things that may be there that you might not know are there.
Yeah.
And it's that self-awareness that is a great step in, purging yourself of those ideologies that may be perceived by someone else as being hateful. And it may not even be as simple, or it might not even be like that. Like, it could also just be something as simple as, you might have some prejudices or some judgments or some things like, I'm sure 100%, like, everybody in the church is so loving. And I sense that. But I can't promise that every single person in that church accepts me for who I am.
Right.
And I don't ask that of people.
Right.
They give me everything I ask. Just be loving, regardless of what you feel about something. And also do more of that. Love people regardless of how you feel about a topic. I think that's another thing. Those are my exercises for that.
I love it. I know a lot of people deconstructed faith, either during a certain part of their life or during COVID. And I think that is not a bad thing. And I think reconstructing it in a way where you focus on what you think God's calling you to do is helpful. There is not a single organization that will hit all of the things that you think you need in order to fully align with God, because we're human. But those are great challenges. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's dose of hope and holy mischief. A big thank you to Trinity United Methodist Church for sponsoring this podcast and supporting stories that uplift our community. Until next time, keep spreading kindness and making a difference. And remember, God loves you, and so do I.